Okay, so here we are live once again with another Masters of the Universe Origins unboxing, and this one is Terror Claws Skeletor. Excuse me. So I also have upcoming. This will be after I finish opening all my Skeletor figures. So this will be probably what I do for my first video next week. Uh, we have the pack-in mate for this Flying Fist He-Man. This one I got off of Big Bad Toy Store. I think I paid like $10 for it. This one I got off of Amazon. I think I paid like $12 for it. So these are ones that are fairly easy to find online for cheap, but I've never seen them at retail. The distribution for these at retail was horrible. Also, the one that was sent to me from Big Bad Toy Store, it kind of came open here at the edge, and he's missing the comic book, which I'm hoping is the same comic book that comes with He-Man, since since they were in the same assortment, and that way I'm not missing a comic book. You know, a lot of the times these will come with the same comic book, and I'll read them for one figure and then be like, "Hey, I already read this one," and the Stratos review. So go back and watch that Stratos review if you want to see me read the comic book. But in this case, I'm not going to be able to read the comic book for Skeletor because it ain't there. Also, for any of you who missed my sit down, my powwow with Captain Have Fun, we had a lot of fun actually having that stream, and it was a long stream. It went on for like 5 hours when I checked after the fact, but we were just basically just talking about whatever, and I showed off some of my custom figures. So if you watched that stream, you might have seen this, and if you haven't watched that stream, you probably haven't seen this. But here is the movie He-Man Origins custom that I'm working on, and I did get some shinier gold filament. So this is not going to be the final sword. I'm actually printing out a silver sword right now. That's going to be the main sword, but I did want to print out a movie sword in gold to see what it looked like. But the crest on his chest, you can see that's a shinier gold than it was before. And I'm going to print out some new shin armor for him after this sword is done, which I figure should probably be not long after I finish this video. I think I've timed that about right, and then I'm gonna go visit with my parents and pick up some lunch for my mom, and I haven't decided where yet because I'm kind of hungry, but I don't really know what I'm in the mood for yet. So we'll figure that out later. It's okay. If you're watching, hi mom. And also a preemptive hello to my Aunt June, who's probably going to watch this at some point. I know, so I'll go ahead and say hi to her too. All right, so that's it. Let's have a look at the package. And like with a lot of these deluxe figures, it's got a really nice piece of artwork on the front. Skeletor with one of the Terror Claws and also the dragon skeleton type weapon on there. We see he's got an alternate head. We see he's got a Havoc staff, an extra gripping hand, and of course the Terror Claws themselves. Looking at the back, we got a nice piece of artwork here with Skeletor and his Terror Claws, Too Bad, and Spikor. And it says Skeletor attacks with his deadly Terror Claws in his quest to rule the entire universe. There we go. And you got Snake Mountain in the background. Nice creepy image of Skeletor. Very Alfredo Alcala-like on that Skeletor head, which is my personal favorite interpretation of Skeletor. The Filmation design is a very close second. I think those are both great designs. And of course, I love Frank Langella as Skeletor. So let's go ahead and open them up. It says, swings with fearsome fury and modern posing retro play. Terror Claw Skeletor, evil leader with the claw swinging action. So yeah, like I didn't open this at all. This is just where the glue came loose. And thankfully, none of the accessories fell out. I would much rather be missing a comic book that I potentially already have another copy of with He-Man than be missing any of these accessories. All right, so here's the gripping hand for the left hand. We're going to set that aside for the moment. And then we have the Havoc staff. And It's the same Havoc staff that we've seen with Skeletor several times, several different figures, but this is a different coloration of it. For example, this is the staff, I believe, that came with the battle armor Skeletor. So it's a bit darker in color, and you can see that the Terror Claws Skeletor is a very bright purple. It's I think brighter than the one that came with the original Origins Skeletor. It's not only a brighter shade of purple, a more vibrant shade of purple, but it's also a more purple shade of purple. That one was more on like the blue side of purple. This one is like, I kind of feel like exactly in the middle of purple. It's not more red, it's not more blue, it's just plain purple. Okay. If it was any more purple, Prince would be wearing it as a suit. All right. So set that aside. And then the dragon head accessory. So you can see how that kind of loose. It's supposed to snap around as he swings it as a weapon. And I did bring Grizzlor back over here from his photo shoot for the thumbnail of the Grizzlor Hordak video. And indeed, these are the same exact mold as the Terror Claws, the original Terror Claws. They're just Grizzlors are that gunmetal gray, and these are a very dark bluish purple. If it was any more blue, I'd just say navy blue, but it's just purpley enough to be purple. Just purpley enough for the Purple Club. All right, and then the last accessory, which is being very much of a pain getting out of here, it's just really embedded in this plastic, is an alternate head for Skeletor. And I believe this is original to this figure. It does look kind of like the alternate head that came with Battle Armor Skeletor. It's got a little bit of that squint to it, like the way that the Filmation design of Skeletor has the furrowed brow, which most people's skulls don't have. Mine probably does. But yeah, he's the face is very much sculpted in a Filmation type way. But it's not exactly based on the Filmation version of the head, because it's still got that kind of close fitting hood that the vintage Skeletor figure had. So it's kind of a mashup, kind of a hodgepodge of the original Skeletor figure and the Filmation design. So I bet if I painted this up right, I could make it look just like the Filmation face of Skeletor. Not the hood, but the face itself. And it's that same really bright, very true purple that the new Havoc staff is. So they match pretty well. So not like 100%, because it is a different type of plastic, but I'd say it's about a 99.9% match. It's a really close shade of purple. And lastly, we have Terror Claws Skeletor himself. And let's go ahead and get him out of the package. He's still strapped in here with these rubber tabs. So let's go ahead and cut through those, and then we can free the Lord of Destruction from his plastic prison. Like they think he's Magneto or something. All right. And that one was pretty easy, but this one's a little more in there. There we go. I really need to change that X-Acto knife blade. I've been saying that for like a year, haven't I? All right. So, and his he's embedded pretty deep in this plastic because of the clip on the back. Oh, and he's also got these plastic clips around these weird sort of plastic clips that are around his arms. They're like actually in the arm joints. So now that we have Skeletor out of the package, we can get a closer look at his uniform. And I never had the original I never had the original Terror Claws Skeletor when I was a kid. It was towards the tail end of the line, and I was already kind of starting to outgrow playing with action figures. So I still would buy them if I thought there was one that was really cool. But I was just starting to get to the age where, like, it's sad. It's not something that I'm happy about. and I wish I still could. But eventually, as you grow up, you just kind of start to lose your ability to play with action figures. And like I could sit back in my room with a pile of action figures and construct all of these like epic sagas and everything like that. And I just eventually lost the ability to do that. Like there's a type of childhood creativity that we lose as we get older. And that starts to manifest itself in other ways. I started to get good at drawing, I started to get good at sculpting. You could say that I still play with action figures, but by making customs and posing them for photographs and even unboxing them here on this channel. This is a way of playing with action figures. It's not the same way I did when I was a kid, and I do miss it. I really do. And I think I'm probably not alone in that. If you're watching this channel, chances are you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so when Terra Claws Skeletor came out and Flying Fist He-Man, like I was already like pretty much done playing with action figures, and like I do remember seeing Ninjor and thinking he was pretty cool. So I like ninjas. And of course Scareglow I thought was pretty cool because glow in the dark skeleton, how can you go wrong? I thought it was great that they finally made a sorceress. I thought it was great they finally made King Randor. I thought it was great that they finally had a black character in Masters of the Universe in Clamp Champ. But I never got around to getting any of those figures. Like as cool as I thought they were, like I didn't really play with action figures that much anymore. So but the variations on He-Man and Skeletor, I kind of felt like that these were like the how do I put this? The least essential versions of these characters that I'd seen. Like I kind of figured like Battle Armor Skeletor to me is peak Skeletor. Like the original Skeletor is great. Battle Armor Skeletor is even better. Dragon Blaster Skeletor I thought was pretty cool. But I never had him either. It's like again, like once you got Battle Armor Skeletor, do you really need another Skeletor after that? Like, nowadays, like when I make customs, I've made like so many different types of Skeletor. I've made like I've made an Alcala Skeletor. I've made a Lords of Power Skeletor. I'm working on a movie Skeletor. There's Skeletor out the wazoo these days, but back then I was like Battle Armor Skeletor. This is peak. This is everything I need. So I didn't really bother to get Terror Claw Skeletor. And there are some odd things about this design. He's a cool looking figure overall, I think, and I definitely dig that back metallized chrome purple. It's really sharp. It's nice that they put this little skull emblem right in the middle of it, and that they actually painted it white so it stands out. And even the skull emblem has extra paint applications in it because it's got little red eyes and red in the nose, as if there's like an evil red energy glowing from within the skull, much like Skeletor's own face has evil red energy glowing from within it. So it's not like they spared any expense on making this guy. Extra paint apps are always a good thing. And speaking of extra paint apps, this Skeletor is unique in that he has a red belt, whereas Skeletor almost always the entire trunk piece is painted black, or not painted, it's molded in black plastic. It's unpainted, I should say. So that's nice. Now, granted, it's a lot cheaper probably than molding the standard Skeletor belt. This number, molding that again. But it is what it is. He's got the furry He-Man type shorts. The most popular clothing option on Eternia is those furry shorts, and then he's got the traditional reptile feet. And one thing I noticed that's interesting about this is that the purples don't match between the boots and the hood, and the boots are much more like the color that I remember on the original Skeletor, with that dark bluish purple, and the origin Skeletor I think was colored in a very similar color as far as his purple. But it's interesting to me that they didn't match the boots to the hood, which usually a Skeletor figure is all the same color of purple everywhere. Anyway, The thing that I always thought was odd about this ever since I was a kid is that I kind of figured they probably should have just made the whole chest in this vac metallized purple color. I think that would look cool. But instead, he's wearing almost like this kind of halter top type armor. Like Skeletor really wants to show off his abs. Like he's been doing his crunches, and he wants to make sure that you see that he's got abs for days. Evil Lynn is just like playing those things like a xylophone. She's like, "Oh, Skeletor, you've gotten in such good shape lately." And he's like, "I know that woman." Yeah. So, and then they painted in the blue on his neck. And one of the things I actually really like about Skeletor is that unlike most Skeletors, he doesn't have that space in between the hood and the armor. It just goes from purple to purple. And that way you didn't get this kind of awkward blue neck, or he's just wearing a hood that doesn't attach to anything, and then some kind of armor or some kind of, like a leather cowl, like the Filmation version has. And you know, I can even kind of forgive it with Dragon Blaster Skeletor because that's a separate piece of armor. But this guy doesn't have a separate piece of armor. He's just got armor molded to his chest. So they very easily could have made like it all the same color all the way up. So I think Terror Claws Skeletor would have been vastly improved if they had have made it like just a full breastplate. I think that would have looked a lot better than what they wound up doing. Now I know a lot of people, this is probably your favorite Skeletor, and you're probably bummed out. You're probably irritated with me to hear me be critical of your boy, and I don't mean to be. I'm just saying my perspective. And if this is your favorite Skeletor figure, hey, more power to you. I'm glad you got a Skeletor figure that you're really passionate about, the same way that I am passionate about Battle Armor Skeletor. And I'm sure some of you are going to at me in the comments and be talking about how like, oh, Battle Armor Skeletor is nowhere near as good as Terror Claws Skeletor in the comments and everything. Feel free to. I want to hear your opinions. I'm glad that you're so passionate about it. But in my opinion, this is how I rank up the Skeletor figures in the vintage line. You have Battle Armor Skeletor at the very top, the standard, basic, vanilla Skeletor, the original, the Lord of Destruction, Dragon Blaster Skeletor, and then finally Terror Claws Skeletor. And if it had been released here in the United States, I would say Laser Light Skeletor would fit somewhere in between the standard Skeletor and the Dragon Blaster Skeletor. That's where that would fit in for me. If it had existed in the United States, if they'd released it over here, and I'd have seen that one in the store, I definitely would have bought that one. That one would have been cool. I'm still disappointed when I saw those on the internet for the first time, and I'm like, oh, why didn't they put those out over here? I would have bought them. Like, even though I wasn't even really playing with action figures at the time anymore, I would have thought those were cool. I would have bought them. But anyway, let's go ahead. I'm going to pop off the. He's got this on the figure standard. He's got the kind of open claw hand of Skeletor, but we're going to take that out because I got a feeling that the Terror Claws are going to fit better with the gripping hand. And they don't have like a handle or anything on the inside of them, but I just kind of figure it'll be less awkward as far as like how it fits. So before we move on to the Terror Claws that gave him his name, let's have a look at let's have a look at the articulation first, and then we'll look at the dragon head, and then we'll move on to the Terror Claws after that. And we'll fit the Havoc staff in somewhere in there in between because we definitely want to do that. So if we look at the back of the package, it's got instructions on how to do this, and it says to swing. Okay, fit claws into hands, to swing arms, hold figure, and grip waist. Turn figure in either direction. You can say that either way or either way. Swing arms for arm swing faster battle. Hold battle grip to swing figure even faster. Battle grip holds one weapon. She's got 3 weapons, so he's just SOL. And snapping skull weapon. All right, so let's go ahead and have a look. See, so we can see there is a little thumb knob on the back molded into the back of the figure, so you get a little bit more of a grip. And then when we move him back and forth, we see that does indeed move his arms. But it says we can grip him by this thing, and that moves him even faster. So the arms, can they move up on their own? Is that something that? Okay, it clicked. It ratchets. So you can move these on their own, but you're gonna have to kind of ratchet it. Do they remove? This will be the one figure I would want to have that extra little paper sheet that tells us what parts are removable, which I usually just ignore these days because I know what parts are removable. But I actually don't know with this guy. I don't know if his arms come out. It doesn't seem like they do. They're not coming out as I pull. I don't. If I pull any further harder, I'm gonna break the thing, and I don't want to break it. So yeah, you can move his arms a little bit, but it's just gonna like ratchet like that. That's how it's gonna do. So they don't move freely on their own, probably because of the way that this uh claw swinging mechanism works. So that way, they don't, the arms don't swing around too loosely. So it is unfortunate that the articulation is somewhat hindered by the action. But really, would it be Terra Claws, Skeletor, and Flying Fist He-Man without the power action? I figure a lot of people would be very disappointed if he didn't have that. So we got the snapping claw accessory, and it's a basically a little dragon skull with looks like some mechanical parts attached to it, like this whole handle and the neck piece of it is mechanical, and you can see that there's like some looks like Skeletor bolted some lenses onto the skull where the eyes should be, and there's tubes growing up to where the nostrils are. So I guess he wants to, have him smell something. I don't know why he did this. Maybe it's just aesthetic. And of course, the inside of the dragon's mouth is red. So I have to imagine Skeletor painted the inside of the dragon's mouth because usually the inside of a skull isn't red. In fact, usually the inside of the skull is like wouldn't actually have bone right here. Like if you put your thumb on the underneath of your jawbone, you see that like it's just kind of a U shape. But then again, Skeletor, he's got extra bone there, so maybe that's just how it is on Eternia. I don't know. So yeah, it kind of whips around, and the jaws kind of clap open and shut. You can hear them clapping around. It's a pretty cool little weapon. So I don't know if it's as cool as the Terror Claws. It seems to me like the sort of thing where like this took a lot more design work to it than this plastic claw hand. So it almost seems like to me that maybe the original thought would have been this would have been the main reason for him swinging his arms around. And oh well, we need to give him some extra accessories. Let's give him, I don't know, some big hands with claws on them. Maybe that might be good. So let's go ahead and try out this clip here that's supposed to be able to store one of the weapons, and it really is just a clip, and there's no place for the handle to go. There's not like a hole in the back for the handle, so it just kind of rests on there. It doesn't actually clip on, and you can see it doesn't actually stay on that well. So that's disappointing. So unless there's like a trick to this that I'm missing out on, which there does not seem to be. Like maybe that I was thinking maybe it's got these ridges on here. Maybe that's supposed to lock on to something, but no, it really doesn't look like it does. So I don't know. They didn't really design that very well, I guess. And I don't think that this is removable. I'm pretty sure on the original figure it was removable because I see like uh, replacement clips all the time that people, I guess they make them themselves on eBay. So this piece I think was removable on the original figure, but it does not seem to be on this one. It's nice and firm in there. And while it's not chrome like the rest of the armor, the color matches up pretty well. It's more like it is a slightly metallic, like you can see some glitter in there to make it kind of slightly metallic, but it's nowhere near as shiny as the breastplate. So before we move on to the titular Terror Claws, let's have a look at his other accessory, which is the Havoc Staff, which the original Terror Claws Skeletor did not come with a Havoc Staff, by the way. I think I would have liked for him to come with the sword. I think as far as like having a character with a slashing motion, I think the sword would have worked a little better. That's just me. But yeah, there he is posed with the Havoc Staff, and he can kind of swing that around as need be. But even though he didn't come with a sword, I do have a sword handy over here. So why don't we go ahead and have him do some slashing action with the cartoon collection, the Filmation, the Purple Power Sword of Filmation, which I don't believe we ever saw a Purple Power Sword on Filmation. And he still came with it, which is still kind of frustrating to me that Merman does not come with a corn sword. Clawful does not come with a mace. Web Sword does not come with a rifle. Oh, well, they had those in the toy, but they didn't have them on the cartoon. Yeah, well, Skeletor never had a purple power sword on the cartoon that I know of. I'm pretty sure I saw him with a power sword at one point, but I'm pretty sure it was just the same color as He-Man's. I could be misremembering. I don't know. But anyway, let's go ahead and one sword is as good as another for these purposes. So there he is, slashing with the sword. So if you had a couple of kids with Flying Fist He-Man and Terror Claws Skeletor, they could put the swords in their hands and have them fight. So, which again makes it disappointing to me that the original Terror Claws Skeletor and Flying Fist He-Man, those didn't come with swords. Which that was another reason I didn't buy that. I'll get more into that when I talk about Flying Fist He-Man, but at that point in the game, really every He-Man figure should come with a sword, and there's no reason for it not to. All right, so let's go ahead and clamp the Terror Claws onto his hand, and actually put this one on the wrong hand. Pay attention to where the thumbs are at, Alan. God. There we go. So clip that on there. And while the Terror Claws, the boots and the hood don't match up, actually the Terror Claws and the boots actually match up pretty well, I noticed. So that's funny. It's funny that like he bothered to coordinate the boots with the Terror Claws, but not with his hood. Maybe his more bluish colored hood is at the cleaners. Skeletor, Evelyn, where's my bluish color hood? Well, it's at the cleaners, Skeletor. You told me to take all of your laundry there. No. I'm not going to match up. I'm going to look a complete idiot. So between the purple on the hood and the chrome purple on the breastplate and the more darker, more bluish purple on the boots and the Terror Claws, Skeletor's got like 3 different shades of purple going on here. So he's very purple. And then the skin is kind of the standard blue skin that we see on Origins Skeletor figures. And then, like I said, black trunks, red belt. It's a lot of good colors that I think come together pretty well. And here he is with Terror Claws. Now, around this time that this figure was made, Freddy Krueger was starting to become a very popular character. I think that around the time this figure came out was when Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors was hitting the theaters. Very popular movie. A lot of people consider that to be the best of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I think it's second best after the first one. I still think the first one is the best one. But yeah, I can't help but think as I look at these clawed gloves that are kind of bolted together, I can't help but think somebody at Mattel had seen Nightmare on Elm Street and thought to themselves, wouldn't it be great if Skeletor had like a bladed clawed glove like what Freddy has? So I definitely suspect that there was some Freddy Krueger influence to this design. Man, they actually made I think it was it Funko? They made those slasher movie villains in the Motu style. So they had a Freddy and a Jason and Mike Myers and all those guys. Look, now I wish I had bought one. I want to make a Terror Claws Freddy Krueger. Since these guys are pretty cheap online, I'm gonna see if I can snag another one of these, and I'm gonna do a a Terror Claws Freddy Krueger custom. I think that would be really cool. So anyway, so let's have a look at him slashing with the Terror Claws. And oh man, that is imposing. So he goes to capture Prince Adam, and he's got the Terror Claws, and one of the Terror Claws fell off. Prince Adam runs away so he can change into He-Man. So yeah, be careful of that. I just got a little overzealous with my my claw slashing, but he's a pretty cool figure. I think that if I hadn't been so snobby about it and given this one a chance the original version when I was 12 or however old I was at the time, 10, 12, that 11, that age where you're like I had gotten out of fifth grade. It was like I think like fifth or in fifth grade, just in like I was starting to get to that point where I wasn't really playing with the toys anymore. But maybe if I had have picked him up, I would have had some fun with it with that original version of it. So even though we didn't talk a whole lot about the articulation, let's go ahead and talk about it some more. Just to go over the rest. I already talked about the arms, so I'm going to skip over the arm joints, except for the fact that I can say they raise up about that far at the side. They do move up and down fairly well, and it looks like they're on like kind of that standard disc movement that the Origins arms are on as far as that hinge goes. But like I said, they kind of ratchet around when you move them. So I guess just be careful with them. Probably don't move them any more than you have to. So anyway, Skeletor can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, but honestly, it seems like this neck is a little bit thicker than the rest of them. Head, of course, rotates all the way around, so it doesn't have quite as much side to side movement as these usually have. He does have a single joint of articulation at the elbow. That's it, straightened out. That's it at its full bend, so not quite 90 degrees. Pretty standard for Master of the Universe Origins. Of course, the elbow rotates all the way around. Wrist rotates all the way around and has a horizontal hinge, so it can move back and forth that way. He does not have a proper waist articulation. Like, technically it turns there, but that's part of his action, so it's going to kind of spring back on its own, almost like the original He-Man figures with their pullback punching action. Skeletor can kick up about that far. Again, this is pretty standard for Origins, and bends at the knee about that far, and the knee joint rotates all the way around, and then the boot cut rotates all the way around. Foot points down about that far, points up about that far, and of course that rotates all the way around. So we know the head comes off because he's got an alternate head. So let's go ahead and try that bad boy on there, since we haven't really had that on the figure yet. So there he is with the extra head. I do think this is a really cool extra head. Of all the heads with the new expressions that they made for Skeletor so far, I think this one's probably my favorite. And it does, like I said, actually the face of it does remind me a lot of the Filmation design of Skeletor. So that's a good thing. I like that. So overall, this is a pretty decent Skeletor figure. It's not the best Skeletor figure that they've done in Origins. Again, I'm going to have to give it up for Battle Armor Skeletor. He's my favorite in this line too. But still, it's a pretty cool one. And if you're like me and you just want to have every variant of Skeletor you can get your hands on, you're definitely going to want get your hands on the one with the hands. So let's go ahead and put the Terror Claws back on him, because that's definitely how I'm going to want to have him positioned for our thumbnail when we go and take that in just a minute. There we go. And this is probably how I'm going to leave this guy default with the Terror Claws and with the unique head to this particular figure. I think that's a good look. As great as the vintage style head is, and it's good that we have that. And I figure, like most people, I wouldn't even say some people, but most people would probably choose to display him with the more toy accurate head. I'm going to keep him with this head because I like the uniqueness of it. I think that's pretty cool. So I think that's everything I have to say about Terror Claws Skeletor. He's definitely worth picking up, especially since you can get him on Big Bad Toy Store or Amazon. Both of those places have him for well below retail. Like I want to say these guys, him and Flying Fist He-Man came out around the same time as God, what was the other figure? I guess it was just those two. I didn't see any other deluxe figure on the back. But he's definitely an easier figure to find than say King Hiss or Thunder Punch He-Man, which I'm having a hard time finding those at a good. Oh yeah, I was gonna see if he comes apart in the middle, which he does not seem to. So this figure does not seem to have as much interchangeability as the other Origins figures. I'm pretty sure you could pop off his boots. Obviously, you saw me pop off his head and pop off his hands. So definitely can switch those around. And if you heat it up, I'm sure you can swap him out at the elbows and at the knees if you want to do that. So anyway, that's it for Terror Claws Skeletor. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and do all that other fun YouTube stuff down below. I'll be back next time with Dragon Blaster Skeletor. That's going to be the next figure on my list as far as Skeletor figures go. And then we have the Stranger Things 2-pack with Skeletor and the Demogorgon. So I'm finally going to open that up. I've had that one for a while now. I got him. I saw him on sale at Target for like half price, and they went back up to full price. So that seals. I thought it was a clearance price at first, like they were getting rid of them, but no, it was just a sale price. It's because they went back up again afterwards. And then they've got the 2-pack with He-Man, so I need to get that eventually at some point. And I need to watch those last couple of seasons of Stranger Things. So I haven't seen those. And then we will climax our opening of Skeletor figures with the Vintage Collection Masterverse Skeletor. I think that, to me, that seems like a good place to round things out as far as Skeletor. But that doesn't mean we're done with Masters of the Universe, because I've still got some WWE superstars that I'm going to open up, which is kind of at least Motu adjacent. And of course, I've got the Flying Fist He-Man. So and then I've got more stuff on the way. Oh, and I also got the second of the 2 Sunman 3-packs. So we'll probably be opening this up sometime this week. Man, we got a lot of Masters of the Universe to open. And then I've got so much other stuff to open too, because I've still got a lot of superpowers. I've still got a lot of DC Multiverse. I've still got some G.I. Joe. And who knows, by the time I open all those up again, I might have more Masters of the Universe again. So the fun never stops here, does it? It just keeps going and going, and we just keep finding new things to open and cool stuff to look at. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure you like, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Terror Claws Skeletor. Maybe you think he's the best Skeletor figure ever. Maybe you have a different opinion. Maybe you're a fan of the Dragon Blaster Skeletor. Maybe you think that it's impossible to beat the OG Skeletor, and they just never should have even tried to make any of these variants in the first place. Or maybe you're a person of sophistication and class, and you realize that the superior Skeletor truly is Battle Armor Skeletor. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. We're going to talk to you next time. I'll be back on the next episode with Dragon Blaster Skeletor. We'll talk to you later. Bye.